What was the last time that we did one?
Last?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago.
But
didn't do it last week.
no, like the last time we did a video. Yesterday.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
No, that was yesterday. The auto one.
Oh, the auto one was yesterday. Oh, I thought you meant from here. Yeah, the auto one was yesterday. It's a lot worse.
Oh boy.
Yes, yeah. You prepared? Let's go.
Let's go, man.
Let's go. You're up. You're up. Let's go, Maximus.
Allah, Father in the universe.
Allah, Father in the universe.
Follow love.
Truth,
Peace.
freedom,
And justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector,
My guide. My salvation.
and my salvation.
By night.
By night
By day.
and by day,
Holy Prophet.
to His holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Islam. Give thanks, man.
Alright.
Shit.
A little too quick, though. A little too quick. I'm gonna ask you to slow that down just a tad.
You did all
I
right.
got UCA.
I have a question. Do you have what you just said written down?
Yeah, I can get that to you.
Okay.
So good. Is it in the right here? It's right there. It's at the bottom of this. Just put it over there for me. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Jew Ali, Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting, Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Jew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is not on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Jew Ali. That is why many hearts have been turned to stone, many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, You fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your profit. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah would bless you for your good work. Peace, your Prophet Noble Ali. Islam. The Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish Science Temple of America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No citizen is to put in danger or falsely accuse his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must now proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of the uplifting acts of Moorish Science Temple of America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with the necessities of the Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Islam. We're gonna there's a couple audios today we're gonna listen to. These were couple audios we got to listen to. One of them is Amor put his father onto the information, and his dad's been going around just, exercising his rights and talking to people about status or whatever. So because of not wanting to contract with the insurance company, he had a sit down with them just to explain to them about, the whole Moorish paradigm or whatever. And this is that conversation.
I'm in the process of nationalizing.
Nationalizing?
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say that?
Do you know the nationality?
Yes,
What is it?
I'm African American. I'm a U.S. citizen, but I'm African American. On my mother's side, I've been able to trace my mother's
those sets of her grandparents back to 1840, 1845. I have discovered and found documentation of 14 branches of my mother's family.
The African American?
I know no other title outside of this country. I know my roots somewhere down the line are African, but in terms of country, cannot tell you.
This is not a country.
Okay.
This is a nation.
Mhm.
But the nation is the people that was here when Columbus came.
Africans who migrated across the ocean. And they called, Africans, and they called them Indians, but they were Indians because that was the name that the colonials gave them. But they actually
Indians.
Yeah,
They was
but Indians in their mind, but they're actually Africans who came from Africa because Africans are all around the world and they mixed in with other peoples on other continents, but the original people were Africans before the Indians.
But
Indians are
not so much African.
Okay.
See, because African, that name comes from African, that's
A European.
European name.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so the people that lived on those continents
Mm-hmm.
were copper colored.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they were European in color. Absolutely.
Then the nationality was Moorish.
Well, Moorish comes from the country in Africa, but that is not representative of all the countries where we came from. Now, most Africans who were enslaved came from the west coast of Africa, and the people of Moor are farther up in the northern part of Africa, not the western part of Africa.
So,
And again, the Moors represent one country because where Timbuktu was and the Nile River basin are not reflective of people, of Moorish background.
I know. Just to Noble Drew Ali in there as well, with regard to the conversation. The article, What Shall We Call Him? So often, our various journalists find trouble in selecting the proper name for the Moorish American. Some say Negro, others will brand him raceman, still another will call him Afro-American, and then colored, dark American, coon, shine, brethren, and your folks. It is indeed a hard matter to find something suitable for the various occasions where a title needs to be used. Is it that these people have no proper name? Did they have a national name when first brought to these shores in the early part of the 17th century? If so, what was it? Did not the land from which they were forced have a name? It now appears a good idea for those whose duty it is to write for the various journals to find out what the national name of the forefathers of these people was. And this goes back to even the same thing that we were dealing with yesterday, right? Yeah, if you wanna talk on what the experience was, because you've been there a few times with Tucker, with Tucker and the rest of those Moors, fighting the fact that they're Moors.
And the Rosses?
Yeah, fighting the fact that
The Ross seems like he's from somewhere over there, you know?
right.
So you have some real knowledge about what's going on over there. But the problem is he don't know what's going on over here. Because he have a proper name and we don't.
Yeah.
So he's trying to say the names are petty stuff. How could you say that, bro?
Right. When
That.
he has one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
a proper name and tell you this one is a petty thing we're talking about. Oh, that's the first thing to know who you are.
Yeah.
First thing. But I love the energy. The rest of the folks, they were.
Yeah, it was proper. It was
Yeah.
proper.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Right. So just putting that out there with regard to what the elders dealing with the insurance agent who, you know, is on that thing of, you know, he knows something. I'll put you on to some info type of thing, you know. Well, the Moors weren't over there, and the Moors weren't this, and Moors are only limited to Africa and whatever like that, you know. That we're gonna get those things in dealing with our people. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. People lack certain information and then don't want to admit that they lack certain information. So once we start presenting certain things for them, you know, they're either going to accept it or they're going to be in denial forever until they go check for themselves and realize what's what.
Because they're farther north.
The Moorish is, well, United States,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a country. America is not a country.
No, I agree with America, whether it be
It's
north, south, or central America is not
That's
not
America.
a country.
The whole thing was America.
Right, they're continent.
And they were Morocco.
Right,
Morocco,
right, and that's one country in the northern part of Africa. That's why I said that the Moors, although they are from the continent of Africa, they are not representative of the entire continent of Africa.
Yeah, but they're representatives of the continent of America. The Morocco, the Sultan of Morocco gave permission to Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, what they call the founding fathers, to do business in America. They had to get permission from the Sultan of Morocco. And at that time, it was an empire. Morocco was. That's why in New York, you call it the Empire State. That's where that happened. And Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and the other founding fathers, it was called ministers plenipotentiary.
Okay.
And they did the business of the contract for Europe, because Benjamin Franklin was in France. And his thing was to get France over to America to do business. And in doing so, they had to be under the Morocco, establishment in America. There's a maximum, in the Africa, Ethiopia,
The mother,
that's the demarcation. A maximum, the furthest west. So that's from Ethiopia to the furthest west, to California. And the joining islands, that was the Morocco.
that was part of the empire at that time, but they weren't the first empire in the continent of Africa.
Well, the continent of Africa is made up of countries.
Currently, there's over 46 countries in the continent of Africa. But prior to the Moroccan Empire, you had empires in Africa who were prior to Morocco and the Moors that were along the Nile River basin, i.e. Timbuktu and all those universities.
Mali.
Yes, Mali Empire, because all those universities, African civilizations were prior to the Moors, and they were the ones responsible for educating the Greek and Romans when they came.
I see where y'all going with this. Like, you're talking about the after effect of what he talking about.
No,
it's the same story.
Reverse. He's talking about the after effect because the Moors didn't come before Malai and Timbuktu.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So
like,
what I'm saying,
all the continents come together.
Right. What I'm saying is before the Moroccan Empire had such great control over society, both in Africa and Europe. Prior to that, it was the Malai and Timbuktu, because there's a Dr. Robinson, and he was the leading historian for African American and African studies for the states of Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
His nephew was the late David P. Richardson, who was in the 201st legislative district. That was because he had an album called the Songhai Empire. He came to my church years ago when I was in high school. You ever see the flag of Songhai? I haven't seen it, but that they preceded the Moroccans. As they evolved, and then Greek and Roman empires came up, and then as they started to dissolve, that's when the Moroccan Empire came over to Spain and also to Rome, and the Europeans were in their courthouses living on animals and getting diseases.
Now, just a quick quote to put out there. Since he brought up teachers or whatever, there's Dr. Chancellor Williams has a book called Destruction of Black Civilization, and chapter 8, The Resurrection and the Life, case studies by states. Chancellor Williams states, now again, just who were the Moors? The answer is very easy. The original Moors, like the original Egyptians, were Black Africans. As amalgamation became more and more widespread, only Berbers, Arabs, and coloreds in the Moroccan territories were called Moors, while the darkest and black-skinned Africans were called Blackamoors. Eventually, black was dropped from Blackamoor. In North Africa, and Morocco in particular, all Muslim Arabs, mixed breeds, and Berbers are readily regarded as Moors. The African blacks, having had even this name taken from them, must contend for recognition as Moors. That's the black scholar saying it, that the recognition that we want to get has to be that we're Moors, even if we're African or Arab or Muslim or whatever. The only level of recognition that we're gonna get acknowledged by is when we admit and accept that we're Moors. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Remember in Obama's speech?
Yeah.
Dr. Wayne said when you come with the business, because they're coming here to do business. I remember Obama when he was leaving his office.
Right.
In his speech, he said the Muslims are the ones that welcome them here.
Right.
In other words, he's trying to say the
Moors, yeah,
not welcome them here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even him telling them to.
Yeah. In the open.
Right. In his last final speech before he left office.
The Moors changed that just to eliminate those diseases and make sure that they were living, quote, civilized as opposed to living with animals. So that's why I said the outcome of what they did produced the rise of the Moors.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
So that's civilization.
Before there was more like the Berbers, right? And then those would be the empires. Those who control the right
and Greek empires. Because remember when Hannibal
coming from Africa, the northern part of Africa, came over, and the person that stopped him was Napoleon. Yeah, because obviously he had guns and rifles and cannons and stuff like that, which they didn't have. But even to this day, he is considered one of the top 4 or 5 military leaders.
Yeah. Same thing with Manson Musa. Like his stuff he took over when it came to economics.
Exactly.
Like that's basically what he was doing. At like we studied from the empirical state of our people when we were in that mindset. Like when we're all the same. So it's just
I studied like the European is our children. Oh, absolutely. Well, let's take it a step further. The Europeans are the children of Africans, period. Yeah. Because the first people on this planet were in Africa. But that's what Africa was part of our land. Absolutely. Which is why I said that the Indians, that Europeans call Indians in the United States, were actually Africans who had come there before. Because think about this logically. Even before think about this. How do you become a navigator for Columbus and all the Europeans if you have never been there before? You can't direct someone to go from point A to point B if you have not been to A, B, C, and D to differentiate C versus A and B.
And then how you get from the southeastern or southeastern part all the way to the northwestern, talking to all the tribes, you got to know each language.
No question about it. But be able to go across the ocean, that means you have to be navigated prior to leaving. Yeah. So there's no question about the Europeans are our children. And they say that whether they like it or not, they have any control. That's why, many public schools across the United States, you don't have a history. No. Exactly why you do not have a movie today about Hannibal conquering Sicily in the southern part of Italy.
Because they don't want to give that information up. That's where they got that.
Empower young African Americans, knowing their history, knowing that they conquered Italy, and you rarely hear public talk about the darker Sicilians.
Right. That'll give you the history of dark-skinned people in Rome.
The rapper KRS-One talked about that.
Yep.
He was there. So, absolutely.
It's coming though, because we're getting a little bit more quiet to how this works, like the connection.
And I'm sure you've seen Hidden Colors.
Yeah.
You've seen all 3 of the DVDs.
Yeah. We
Trading Places with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, that's crazy.
Story. That's the whole shebang. Yeah, absolutely.
We but he was saying Moorish though, because we connect with teachers in Overdrive Ali and the guy Deuce Muhammad Ali when he came over and was talking to Marcus Messiah Garvey. He was letting him know because Marcus Messiah was still on he was on the Depression, the African thing. And he was saying we could claim this land as Americans just straight from here and not even leave our connection with Africa. And that's where I think we're missing. Like us being here on and like having from we were like basically coming from here first. They don't ever give us that. Like they'll give us the African thing, but that's so that's already known. But they never say that we were the people from over here. They try to make it slaves. But if we just
not gonna tell you that because if they do that, then Trump and people before him will not be able to say go back to because you can't go back to a place that you are the owner of.
Exactly.
Your land has just been broken up over centuries, multiple centuries. And so you can't go back if you're already home when it was part of Africa.
That's where we're going. That's exactly where we're going at. That's where we're going.
We're home.
But see how you just brought the subject up. And he's already, I think more people get this than we allow ourselves credit to believe.
That's true. Because they're
So that was the Elder Raphael speaking with the insurance man, trying to put them on some type of info, so that he can get whatever it is he could get from them, from the Free National perspective, because they wanted no, more in Philly, so that he can contract with them without having to use the straw that they're saying that, you know, he has to be. And then he's presenting his argument to them to try to prove that, you know, why he's saying that he's more or whatever like that.
Is this insurance for a new car?
I'm not even sure what kind of insurance it is. I'm not even sure. Yeah. But they wanted to meet with him to talk about the whole status issue. Any comments or questions? So the next audio is there's somebody put up a post somewhere. I think Brother Landry sent it to me. They put up a post, and on the post they were promoting this website called iSelf Law and Master. iSelfLawandMaster.com. So when we go on to the website, when we went onto the website, we found out that they have a lot of things on there that sort of don't really deal with iSelf Law and Master from the perspective of what we know iSelf Law and Master is, right? So we'll just listen to that and go over again some points of interest that they bring up, so that we can assist others in not getting played out here by their own, trying to convince us that, you know, Noble Drew Ali didn't do everything that was done, because they always have this idea that, you know, he didn't finish doing what he's supposed to do, so they have to come with some whatever to make us be free or make us be able to exercise our rights or whatever.
You get the part when we're going to say, here it is. Your birthright.
I brought you everything?
Everything. Save yourself and go save the nation. He told, what do you mean he didn't do? I'm ready. They can bring nothing new since then. They can't bring nothing.
But and if they do bring anything new, it's distorted.
Nothing to do with us.
It has nothing to do with us.
Trying to help and guide. Here we're going to talk about the blueprint for success. You know, we got a lot of people that's been joining the website, iSelfLawandMaster.com. We're thankful and we appreciate you. And today we want to kind of go ahead and give you a soft blueprint to kind of help and guide themselves on this journey to the awakening, shall we call it. So let's go ahead and get this started. We'll call this again, the blueprint for success. Number one, I'd like to first start off with saying we need to always authenticate your birth certificate. And we break this down in our estate planning lesson 1. Our estate planning lesson 1, that's right. And if you need help.
Yeah, authenticate was the first thing I needed that.
How come we needed that lab? Break it down. Let me know something.
I thought you understood what iSelf Law and Master is. It's not, you know, they are the law and I am subservient. Authentication process. Oh my god. That's like having
These all over.
That's like having stickers and saying, I want to go get these these Dollarama stickers authenticated by the government.
Right.
Make them
Official stickers. Right. Right. So as we know, one of the greatest ways to get yourself into their jurisdiction is by claiming that any of the instruments that they provide is yours, right? So all those things are always theirs. All those things are always theirs. And once you start getting into this arena, like for example, when we initially came into this information, the authenticate had nothing to do with birth certificate. When we're talking 2009, authenticate had to do with your paperwork. So you would take your paperwork, right? After you get your paperwork notarized by, lawyer or whoever you know that has one of those seals or whatever, you would take it down to the authentication office. You would get them to put the Ontario cover letter on it, and then now you would use it as in its official capacity, right? But it was never about authenticating this. Now, they don't even talk about your paperwork. They talk about authenticate the birth certificate, which once you authenticate this birth certificate, which is, as we know, void ab initio, or void from its inception, that you just gave it validity, and you just gave it power, and you just gave it some type of validity, but that's not coming from, or that can't be used in your capacity. That's only going to be used in theirs. And again, like the brother was saying, the birth certificate comes from Walmart. So if you're authenticating Walmart stuff and you think that it's official now,
it's not Walmart, the service.
You're playing stuff. Yeah. Right.
If I looked at my birth certificate and signed it, it was the government. But if I looked at my birth registration, you signed it to the parents.
Right.
So he who creates home, my parents' home, my birth registration, is that his home, the birth certificate.
The birth certificate. So, and what would happen is that the birth registration is actually supposed to be a birth record.
Right.
So the registration is still their form.
Okay. Because
Whereas,
they made it a public record on their documents.
by them giving the form. So for example, it's like driver's license application is equivalent to birth registration. That's just the form. And then when you turn the form in, then you get the card, which is the birth certificate, or the license. So it's two different documents, but they're both coming from the same jurisdiction. Whereas if you said birth record, you would have the parents would sign it, the grandparents or whoever or the witnesses would sign it, and then that would just be your private safe, holy book or whatever like that, and that would be official enough because that is a record of their child's birth. That has nothing to do with these people. They don't need a copy of it to know that there was a birth because it has nothing to do with them. They have nothing to do with that process.
But doesn't registration suggest that you're underneath something?
Right. Yeah.
Now they say like your value is.
Well, you're registering something where you're.
It's under maritime law.
But I don't really care what it is. But if it's you have a child and then you have to register that child, right? They get a certificate, you get the registration. Why are you registering something that belongs to you? Or whatever,
right.
Like, who are you registering with to validate that it's legitimate or it's true or something? So
Well, you're signing it as well. You sign a document as a permit. and their childbirth. It's an American law.
Well, that's
So
my
you're
point.
giving your children over to
That's what I'm saying, because she was saying, she was suggesting that possibly the registration, the form suggests that the parents have ownership over that because they registered that and they have ownership over the certificate. But if you're registering something, you don't really have ownership.
Right.
That's when you have child services coming in and telling you what to do with your kids.
Right.
So you registered your children under maritime law to
The
whoever.
registration is, from what I just got, is the actual, you signing your child over. That's what the registration is you then giving.
Yeah, and the birth certificate is
And then the certificate
is the receipt of the sale.
Which
Yeah.
would technically be then, right, which would technically then be where you cash in on some of that.
Right.
Of course, then they've taken you out of it because you're calling yourself black, and then they're taking the profits from because that certificate would be a stock, right?
So well, if it
You get a bond on it
right,
with the weight of like, you know how they say your worth is your weight of gold?
right,
So they put that equivalent, that's why they need a capitalized name, they need to measure the child, this and that, and they say, okay, well, you can keep the child because if we measure his weight in gold, we're gonna put that in a pooling company, send it out, people think it's utilities. Off that principle, any interest made or any income, quote unquote income, in the future that the child creates will be off of this bond, right? And so.
and then that's where they say this process, so that you can tap into that.
Yeah, which validates their fraud,
Yeah.
which takes away all remedy you have in the future because you authenticated their fraud.
Right.
You're a party to it. Now, like hypothetically, if there was reparation or any sort of remedy in the future, you signed yourself away back when you authenticated the fraud.
Right.
So you're no longer part of the nation. You're part of
Of the fraud, the colors of jurisdiction.
And that's when the government can tell you, oh, you have to utilize your children. Child services come in and could take your children.
Right.
You can't say anything because you're trying to raise it. Yeah,
Well,
you sign your child over.
But in the end, that was trumped again by the United Nations Declarations of the Rights of Indigenous People, which would say that under no pretext let that child be taken.
Yeah, we should gotta use that.
Of course you do, but I'm saying that would be non-proton from the
Right.
position that you were frauded to begin with.
Right.
Fraud has no statute of limitations,
You take your rights back,
right?
now you can use that,
Right.
Back there, but that can be done in real time, right?
right?
You have to invoke your own rights, right?
Right, if you don't use it, you don't have.
If you don't have any,
You have to
use your
enforce
rights,
it.
you don't have
That's what I'm saying, we need something to establish, enforce.
any. Right.
Yeah, now,
Somebody else had something?
I was just thinking to say no correlated words are submit, when you register, you submit.
Right.
And then the opposite or the would be to add.
Right.
So the one who's submitting submits and the admitter adds to it and is then giving it power.
Mm.
And then for the rest of your life you read it.
It's so simple now. If we back up to our ancestors, my father, he never get to come here. My mother did, because she had a birth certificate. My father didn't have one.
Mm.
It's so funny. He didn't have one, but we get his name with birth certificate.
Mm.
Actually, it took 22 years before I get my name with it. When I was to come here, that's when I get it. I do all my life in school without one.
Yeah.
Me personally, I do all my life in school without a birth certificate. My father did the same. And now, the thing is, I was born at home with my grandmother. So when
There's no need for registration.
No, because my brother, my grandmother, my aunt was there. Everybody know when I was born.
Yeah.
And up the street, there's some cousins that born days after. So we know, oh, that one born that day, and this one born this day.
Yeah.
That was the record.
Right. Right. And
that's
again,
what we are going back to now.
Right.
As a more.
Right.
Going back to
going
that.
back to the old time religion.
Old time, yeah.
With the authentication process, how to do it. We've helped literally hundreds of people now, almost going on to thousands, authenticate their birth certificate. This is so that you can take this certificate instrument from one jurisdiction over to your foreign jurisdiction when you actually set up your foreign trust. Because again, we're taking it out of the United States public jurisdiction and we're putting it in our foreign jurisdiction, which is
No, taking it out of Canada or United States jurisdiction and then putting it into a foreign jurisdiction. If you walk into Walmart and take something out and put it in your pocket, what's that called? Okay.
So from the beginning, where the stealer of birthright, that was a theft.
Right.
And now he's another cunning way of
stealing again. Yeah.
Stealing again.
Yeah.
It's our foreign trust. So that's the whole reason and purpose of authenticating your birth certificate. And we'll break this whole process down very clearly, very precisely in our estate planning lesson 1 video. So if you need help with that and authenticating your birth certificate, you can definitely go and check that out there. All right, moving along. Number 2, you definitely want to get a court order for your name change and nationality change. Okay, this is very important. It's one thing to do things publicly, and it's another thing to do things privately by putting something in the county and just putting it on public record. This is actually respected publicly. Again, we want to do things to be respected publicly on their side because our mothers, you know, I guess, forced us into the system via the birth certificate publicly, and we need to publicly correct that status.
So get a court order. Get a court order for your nationality because your mom sold you off to the state. Throw their mom under the bus. Throw their mom under the bus instead of the people who made the fraudulent contract, right? Say that their mom did something wrong, but not the people who set up the whole game that has things going wrong, right? Our prophet told us, proclaim your nationality. Told us in our divine constitution and bylaws that all members must proclaim their nationality. Once you proclaim your nationality, then that's who it is that you are. The whole idea of court orders, again, comes into going back to that whole thing of number 1, that these people want to be citizens of Walmart and they don't want to be themselves. So they're going to have to go to the Walmart court in order to get jurisdiction over the Walmart birth certificate so that they can do whatever it is that they're going to do, right? And again, remember that this is coming from people who's calling their website iSelfLaw Master, which is our stuff.
They're so dirty. Oh my God. And this is point number 2.
Point number 2. I think they got about 15 points. About 15 points.
Wow.
And it's sold out already. And now again, if we look at what was done with Great Seal and them giving us our name correction document, giving us our nationality documents, and then us taking those, getting them witnessed amongst our own, right? And then once they're witnessed amongst our own, then that's qualified because our own should know who we are.
Of course.
And if my witness is my brother, then why do I need to go to this European down here to get an order from the court? Like, you know me.
Don't even know.
But I'm gonna say that, oh yeah, well, what he says is verifying or validating me, and then what my brothers and sisters are saying is false.
And there's res judicata and stare decisis. So when it comes to the supreme law of the land, they've already settled this issue.
She's been settled.
It's been settled. It's not.
And this is part of the thing too with the online gurus that, you know, they have at the beginning of the video, they have the swirling thing with the whatever like that, the music in the background. You get people, oh yeah, let's click this and see whatever. Then they have, you know, PowerPoint presentation, bullets and all that type of stuff, whatever like that. When we just give people a law dictionary definition or something. We'll go to a book and show them how this, we'll give you the papers. Here's the papers, you go read the papers yourself, you tell me if a court's gonna back this document. They probably won't. If we took judicial proclamations and try to get a court order for this to be our paperwork, guaranteed a notary is not gonna sign it. because the document itself condemns them. The document itself shows that if you, lawyer or attorney or whoever, put your seal on this document, you're killing yourself, which they don't want to do. They always want to have the power. So because they want to have the power so much, we would say, take those documents, make copies of them, and you let anybody who needs to know what your nationality is, you give them a document in order to be yourself. No court order needed. As soon as they go into that jurisdiction of court orders and stuff like that, even when they talk about the county, right? There was a time when you could do that. There's a time now where, you know, there's more who they go to the county and counties tell them, no, we're not taking those papers up here. We're not taking your papers. They're making it sound like you can just walk in there now and just give them the papers and they'll accept them. They're only accepting them if it comes from a notary. They're not accepting witness documents in the county record.
I understand when I'm going to court now. They stopped taking my paperwork, so I start faxing them in.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
so they get pissed off now. So I fax in 5 days before I go to the
right.
court.
Yep. Or mailing them.
Pissed. They get so pissed. Yeah, because they won't accept the paperwork. I'm standing there at the clerk. She has an oath of office to accept these paperwork, but they'll stand back and say, no, we can't accept those things.
Right.
Okay, do you have a fax number? Yeah, we have a fax number. So I went home, faxed it in, showed up in court. The prosecutor said, oh, that's you? Okay. Well, come step outside. So we went outside, and the traffic came and I got pulled over again inside. So she goes, do you mind if I smoke? And she lights up the cigarette.
Oh, you have an outside.
Yeah. she took me outside the building. She didn't want to take no chances. I stay out of their jurisdiction. I gotta stay out of their jurisdiction. And she took me out of the court. She didn't want anybody to hear. And she goes, well, we made a mistake. And this and that. And that. Well, anyways, I got my car towed and I took a taxi up to the courthouse. So I asked her for a reimbursement. I said, well, you have to file a claim for that. But everything else is dropped.
Yeah.
All the charges dropped. Insurance, everything dropped.
Fax machine, yeah.
You don't even have to respond. Once you said okay, once you said okay,
Yes.
once you said okay, you're okay.
Yes. Yeah, facts. Right to their facts. Of course you got. I got the receipt right here. Yeah.
Yeah. To the agent, he said, okay.
Doesn't matter, registered or not. Agent got it. Yep.
Yeah, they wouldn't even let me go up to plead my case. They just put me outside.
And the agent got it?
Yeah. I was shocked. I thought they were going to arrest me. I was like,
Okay, and that's why we get a court order from a federal judge, because that actually tells their minions that they actually have to follow the orders from the higher ups. You know, that's an order, and they have to do that once you get your name changed and your nationality changed. They must call you and respect you by that in their system. Okay, moving along, number 3, we always recommend for people to get a non-U.S. national's passport. A non-U.S. citizen, national's passport, and a non-U.S. citizen's national's driver's license. You know, we teach both of these processes. These are special remedy packages that you can find in the shop section of our website. You know, if people don't know, the non-U.S. citizen's national passport automatically puts you on that private side of the republic. It's very, very, very important because it automatically puts.
No, part of what they're not telling you is when you get non-US whatever on the website, they say it's for truckers. So this is not something about anybody can go out there and do this. you have to be engaging in commerce to do this.
Well, do they sell truckers licenses?
But the real thing is truckers need license.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
they need license.
U.S. passport license.
Well, you can get a universal driver's license.
Well, the thing with the universal from
You need to have a license prior to that, though, right?
World Passport
But
Authority.
they don't ask too many questions at the border. Once you show them that, they just let you go. You put on top, like you see how family members with you, just put that one on top, and that's it. A universal driver's license.
The only issue with that is that that's what most deaf had.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they jacked him up. So you can't say that you're a babe when you have your own stuff, but then you're going to another foreign jurisdiction, World Services. Actually, this is World Services. World Services Authority was a bunch of Europeans that came together and they started issuing passports, licenses, whatever like that, to quote unquote people who aren't in the jurisdiction. Right? Right? The World Services Authority. The World Services Authority were just some Europeans who had their little connections or whatever to be able to get the passport booked and all that type of stuff and start issuing those. And then people jumped on it like it supersedes the United States and Canada or whatever. But then what they were doing was telling everybody that whenever you travel, wherever you go to, send the sheet that they stamp so we can put it on the website to show that they accept this everywhere or whatever. People started sending in the things and still weren't getting accepted when they went to other places. They were still denying this again, and then that's why Yassine Bey got jacked up because he was, please bro, because he was attempting to get out of this jurisdiction. He was attempting to get out of this jurisdiction by going into this jurisdiction, but it was still a foreign jurisdiction. It still ended up being a foreign jurisdiction, right?
Puts you on that do not search and detain list. And again, we say get this after you get the name change. Okay, it's very important because they actually put a stamp in your actual non-U.S. citizen's national's passport once you actually have that legal name change. Okay, so it's very important that you all get that order first. All right, moving on to number 4. You need to correct your ethnicity in their commercial system via an SF 181 filing. And we also teach this in estate planning lesson 1. Again, you can also check out that lesson. It's very, very, very important. It's one of our most, high selling courses. It's the
high selling course. Right. So SF 181 form, on the form, it tells you for federal employees only. So why would these ISOF law master Moors be trying to tell you to go get a form from these people in order to correct your ethnicity? Because on the SF 181 form, it'll tell you, the different ethnicities and Moors on the list. Because Moor is on the list, fill this form out, check Moor off, and then that correct your ethnicity when it tells you on the form it's for federal employees only.
I just said that I remember once my cousin was coming across years ago to a funeral and she forget her passport. But she has one of those badge things because she needs some security.
Yeah.
And she showed them when she come across.
Yeah. Yeah. They probably were able to punch it up.
Yeah, because
to verify
she worked
because she's a federal employee.
Yes, she worked with it, right? So she forget the passport and she showed them as they were and she come over. Yeah, discretion though. Looking at anybody over at that.
Yeah. And as well, we just remember that any type of forms that they're saying fill out. Once it's their forms, you're probably going to be in the jurisdiction.
Definitely one of them.
Yeah, I think it's number 667 or something like that, 666 or something. So they have, that's how many different ethnicities they have on the form. And the 667th one is more. I can't remember. I don't remember. It's somebody 666.
The most popular. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I definitely say log online and go check out that estate planning one course. All right, number 5, we need to write up a power of attorney over your straw man. Again, we're acting as the attorney over our lives now. Okay, we are the masters over our life, and this starts with the power of attorney. All right. We always go to courts and we always hire these attorneys to speak for us because we're basically telling the court system that we're illiterate, that we can't speak for ourselves and we don't know how to protect ourselves.
Peace. Right, so write up a power of attorney so you can have quote unquote attorney powers over the straw man. What that really is for us is the X-relation, because the straw man for us is only about information, nothing else. The all capital letters name, our connection to it is only based in there's information regarding that. But that thing's not us, that thing has no tie to us, no connection to us, only on the basis of information. So when we have issues that you have to deal with, things relative to that name, your free name, El Bey, De Al Ali, X-relation, straw name. And then that's how you would write it, that's how you would talk when you're dealing with them. So for example, Moors have had situations where they might go to the tribunal and on the form, on the court documents, they have the straw name. And then the Moor is saying, well, I'm not the straw name and all that stuff. They go in there and they're arguing about what name are they gonna call me? Don't call me that name, I'm not that or whatever. By doing this, free national name, X-relation, straw name, now you can talk and now they can hear you. Because you're not saying that you're that, and then X-relation is telling me that you have power of attorney because the only person who can speak for this is the Attorney General, or somebody improper person, which us being in our free national name is us being an improper person. Right? So once we're improper person, you automatically have power of attorney to talk relative to the straw. As soon as you say, even without that, and you say X relation, straw man, you're admitting that you are power of attorney. You're not the attorney general, but you are improper person. And being that you're a proper person, you have the power to talk. And again, these are, this is, 2004, 2005 information with the Washita, that you would have a document that would say that you have power of attorney over the straw. But you're not making any claims on the straw. All you're doing is saying in the power of attorney that I am, free national. Straw man is ends legis, straw man is artificial person, straw man is da da da. And I have power of attorney to speak on behalf of that because straw can't talk. Then you autograph it, and then that's that.
Is that the same difference between general appearance and special appearance?
Right. So in a special appearance, you're taking the position that you're appearing for. In a general appearance, you are whoever they're looking at or calling up to the front or whatever. In a special appearance, you're representing, right? In a special appearance.
And that's why when you talking to them, you tell them you're here on special appearance.
Right.
And specifically say not general.
Not general.
Don't get it twisted.
Right.
I have a question about
Yeah.
that, because that's always confused me, because I feel like in both instances, you're saying that I'm appearing. Why don't you appear at all? Why don't you just say I'm here?
Just like the man.
Why do I have to say that I'm here at all?
Well, it might not necessarily be that language. It might not be that language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I appear.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when we go to court, we say I am.
Right.
I am Cujo L. Who are you?
Right. So I can do that as opposed to saying special appearance at all.
Right. Well, again, saying special appearance.
This is what they're gonna say why you're here.
Yeah, what you're here.
You are, and why you're here. You got a special appearance.
You're not there as a matter to the party, right? You're there on special counsel relation to some sort of allegations. And so you're not there defending, you're there saying, there's a clear up here, I don't want you guys to be confused, this doesn't exist, this is like whatever the stuff is, right? Like, yeah, you're there like under a special appearance in terms of like diversity of citizenship, diversity of nationalities appearing, representing, saying, hey, you guys sent this in my mailbox, you guys had this wrong, I'm not this thing that you're calling, that's not a general appearance, it's not open to the public. This is a private issue, because it's private and you're dealing in a public matter, you're going to do a special appearance so that way you're not bringing, you're not entering the public venue. Right? You're still keeping it private.
It's all like a chess game. You gotta see certain words, certain terminologies that they'll use, like if the judge says, do you understand? It's not actually the words you understand, it's actually, are you standing under their judgment? All these words, like if you say you're special, you're making a special guest appearance. You're not falling under their jurisdiction, you're keeping yourself out of their jurisdiction. And the judge is gonna try to keep pulling you back in. It's all like a little chess game. Like a lot of people don't know, even in the courtroom, what's going on between you and the judge. He knows, but he's not gonna say anything. And so you're saying these things and you might get these weird looks. He knows what you're saying, and he's just testing you. So you go in there, you're gonna say, I am, which means that you're flesh and blood. You're not the strong man. I am means that you're just trying to stay out of that jurisdiction. When you say, yes, this is me, you're claiming that false jurisdiction that they created. So now they can proceed. They can't proceed without you saying those certain words.
So can I invite you to one of those special appearances with general appearance?
Yeah, it's all about Black's Law
Black's Law.
Dictionary. And you have to get the earliest model because they revise it all the time to keep words out. But the earliest edition you can get is the best. Just keep studying. When I first came here, these guys, I always ask these guys all these questions. They go, keep studying, man, keep studying. And I'm like, just tell me. Keep studying. When you study it and you read it, you get it into your own like knowledge. You get it into your own knowledge and it comes from you instead of you're just repeating it.
Brother Tez, you had a comment?
Yeah, just kind of what you guys said in the sense like it's a process, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of turns too, not to in turns basically.
Yeah, they're playing games.
Because if you interrupt somebody, you're gone. It doesn't matter what culture they're in. You understand? So you want to say it's a special appearance because that pauses whatever is going on. It makes it more important. It takes precedence. And then what you're here about, it's relative, but it's not. You're not here to take up the matter of the case. You're not here to discuss the adjudication. You're here to discuss status.
Okay.
Right? You don't say that right away. First you say because, but it's obvious because you present yourself. I am so and so. You're in a special appearance. Right?
Yeah, the judge already knows all that stuff.
And like you said, the judge knows. So when you do it smoothly, and like I said, without breaking those social rules, then you'll get that much further. Right? As soon as you start breaking social rules as well, when you start losing your temper, like you can't assume that because you're saying the right things, you're gonna win. Because there's two games. You said it's a game, but even though the chess is being played, there's also a social game being played where if you show too much attitude, if you do whatever, it's not that you're gonna be ruled against, but they're gonna realize that's a weakness and they're gonna goad you to make a concrete error, to slip up, to say something wrong. Yes. Because you're already off your game, you're not focused.
Another thing that somebody said in the chat is look at it from the perspective of with regard to special appearance and general appearance, that the officers of the court make the general appearances, and anybody else is supposed to be special. Right? So if you're not an officer of the court, you better be making a special appearance, because once you make a general, then they're putting you under that jurisdiction of, because obviously if you're on, whether you're defendant side or plaintiff side, you're not an officer of the court. And if you're not making a special appearance, then you're probably their property or their ward, and they're about to do whatever it is that they want.
I have an appearance here in Black's Law in the Black's Law edition, 4th edition on average. The appearance, the 4th paragraph, an appearance may be either general or special. The former is a simple and unqualified or unrestricted submission to the jurisdiction of the court. The latter, a witness to the jurisdiction for some specific purpose only, not for all purposes of the suit. Some case law, a special appearance is for the purpose of testing the sufficiency of service or the jurisdiction of the court. A general appearance is made where the defendant waives or defects of service and submits to the jurisdiction. Case.
Case closed. That's the gavel right there.
So what XRO be like the same authorized representative too?
Yeah. Authorized representative.
Start to see your explanation.
Yeah.
Masters over our life, and this starts with the power of attorney. All right. We always go to courts and we always hire these attorneys to speak for us because we're basically telling the court system that we're belligerent, that we can't speak for ourselves and we don't know how to protect ourselves. And that's all coming to a change now. And it starts with this power of attorney. You need the right to speak over your name, all caps, period. That's all there is to it. Number 6, let's see. Copyright and trademark your name and nationality. Okay. It's very important that we copyright our trademark.
Black's Law again, we got trademark. Trademark your nationality.
Copyrights and trademark. Business.
Big time. Nationality. Nationality is inalienable
Right.
or unalienable. You can't lean it. You cannot put that in any type of jurisdiction. No jurisdiction that's commercial should have your nationality there. And that you put it in there like that. The only way that your nationality is in there from a commercial perspective is because somebody's trying to railroad you. Like, there's no way that you're willingly gonna put your free national name into the world of commerce. That's what businesses are for. You don't need, and you're not a business. We're not business. So to trademark it, it's no different than exhuming of a nation with when Moorish Temple of America took Pleasant Day to court because he was saying Moorish Temple of America, and they were saying that that's trademarked, and that he can't do that because he didn't own the trademark of Moorish Temple of America, which is why in his book he rips Moorish Temple to shreds. Because how are you able to say something that was never trademarked all of a sudden is trademarked and nobody has any jurisdiction over it when the Prophet brought it for everyone to be free, right? Trademark work.
Trademark. Generally speaking, a distinctive mark or authenticity through which the products of a particular manufacturer or the vendable commodities of a particular merchant may be distinguished from those of others. It may consist in any symbol or any form of words, but it's the office. It is to point out distinctively the original ownership of the articles to which it is affixed. It follows that no sign or form or words can be appropriated as a valid trademark, which, from the nature of the fact conveyed by its primary meaning, others may employ with equal truth and with equal rights for the same purpose. Trademark Registration Act, 1875. This is the statute, 38 and 39, case law, amended by the acts of 1876 and 1877. They provide for the establishment of a register of trademark under the superintendence of the commissioners of patents and for the registration of trademarks as belonging to a particular class of goods for which their assignment in connection with the goodwill of the business in which they are used. Sweet.
Sweet.
Sweet is
That's sweet
like vexatious litigants.
Yeah, sweet.
So I swear, every time they have the word sweet, I really think it's the Europeans saying we can get on these guys.
Yeah.
We can get
It
one.
uses, yeah.
It's like a little wink, you know?
Yeah.
That sweet comes up again.
This guy is wrong on so many levels about trademark
Crazy.
and nationality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nationality is for everybody. It's not something, even if, you know, on that level, you can't do it. And on the level that it's not, we are not commodities. We are living, breathing, natural human beings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Trademark and nationality and copyright at least? Oh, yeah, we got to do copyright too.
Which happened after the coup
I
d'etat.
looked that up too. Yeah.
This is all 1870s.
Yeah.
Right. And again, keep in mind that all these processes that you're doing, you have to go to Walmart to go get the form to do that. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like
you got to go through them
Yeah.
to get to Walmart, and you got to that will set it up with Walmart.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. For a fee, of course. You know. Yeah.
Name. And I mean, you can copyright your birth name and your appellation. I just say, first and foremost, definitely start off with copyrighting your your birth name, your government name. Because again, this all goes back to even the times of slavery. I know people remember when slaves used to wear brands, right? Slaves would be branded by their slavers. So if they ever ran away, you know, people could identify them and know what slaver they belonged to because they had a brand on them. Okay.
And again, that idea of slavery and branding the slave, you know, with the iron and then all that stuff, that the real brand is Negro, black, colored, African, and all that stuff. All the fake names are the brands.
That's right.
Forget hot iron and fire brand. That's not the brand. The brand is saying that we're a slave when we were Moors. The brand is saying that we're black when we're Moors. The brand is saying that we're African. The brand is saying that we're indigenous and we're aboriginal and all these terms.
The brand is small. The vaccine is
Right, yeah.
You leave a mark.
And the mark's there.
And no one leave in your life and leave a mark.
Right.
Only that one.
Yep.
That's the brand.
Yeah.
That's the
That
brand.
too.
No matter what legal you get anywhere,
Yeah.
it doesn't leave that mark. But that one on your shoulder, it leave a mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never go away.
And if these same slaves were, you know, sent to the market to be traded, you know, they can also see that brand and see it as a trade mark.
Oh yeah, and back to the thing with the court order, that there's no quote unquote slave master that had to get a court order to make you a slave. They just did the Kunta Kinte to you and you were a slave. Put you on the post and beat you until you agree that you're a European. They didn't go to court to do that. So why should we have to go to court to get out of that status if they didn't go to court to put us in that status?
Mark. You see what I'm saying? So it's very important that we put a trade mark over our name, all caps, so we can say that we are the owners. We are the branders, okay, of that name, all caps. We own that. That's our property. So it's very important that we do a trademark. Very important. And if you can, do it on the national level so you can be covered in every state. But if you can only afford it right now in the state level, that's fine too as well. And we also teach how to do that process on our website. Number 7, go to the Secretary of State and erect the DBA for your trade names. Now, some people can actually do this in the local county. You know, and if you can, that's totally fine. And I know in some states too, it's also called a fictitious name. A fictitious name. Let me see, a DBA or an assumed name. So whatever one that it is in your county, your clerk, or, you know, like I said, with your Secretary of State, definitely file a DBA and get that trade name, you know, copyrighted, protected. And, you know, it's just very important that you always get a DBA for every single county that you're doing business in. Okay? It's very important that you do that. So if you move, you need to get a new DBA in that county as well. Number 8, create a security agreement between you and your straw man. Now, this is very important. This is important because, again, you've bought all kind of things with your name, all caps, in you know, daily commerce. And it's important that you all create a security agreement now because, you know, every single time you're given a new title, this is what we call a security. All right. This is a security instrument. This represents the title that's connected to a home or, you know, however you want to put it. But basically, long story short, you know, you need to make an agreement as the secured party, as the living spirit that connects to your name, all caps, okay, to the straw.
Right now,
these are the types of guys that get people in trouble.
Let's make it clear, man. What we're listening to is pretty much what you don't do.
Yeah, what you don't do. Don't do this. Do not do these processes. Security agreement between you
Yes.
Security agreement between you and your straw man. An agreement, contract, covenant, etc. If you are real and the straw man is artificial, say that again, Mother Mocha.
You can't have a contract.
You cannot have a contract.
And if you try, they'll take you for real status, which is artificial status, because only fiction can recognize fiction.
Right?
If a real person starts talking to a chair, the chair's talking back. Right, you said it.
Right, so only real can recognize real, or the artificial can recognize artificial. Now, keep in mind, in their case, you trademarked the real name, which made it artificial. So now artificial can deal with artificial, and then you can do the security agreement or whatever, which puts you in a whole different thing. All right.
These are all like lashes. These are all like whips to the back.
Yeah. Yeah, to yourself.
This is how we get you twice. We always die,
Beat yourself.
Straw man. And every security that was ever bought in the straw man's name, it needs to be conveyed over to the secured party. And that's what a security agreement is. Basically just making an agreement between you, the living spirit, and the straw man, saying, hey, any security or any instrument that this straw man buys, it now is being controlled and it's conveyed over to the secured party. All right? That's very important. A security agreement. That's what that's called. Number 9. Oh, and number 8, we also have a security agreement in our estate planning documents. Again, it's just very important that people go through estate planning 1 through 5 and actually just set up their whole estate, and y'all will be able to understand a lot of the conversation and a lot of the legalese that we're discussing in this blueprint right here. Number 9, erect an unincorporated religious assembly. Okay, this is very, 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 very important. We actually teach how to do this also in the shop section. We have a certain package, a remedy package, just for teaching you how to do this. And these are very important because, you want to run your whole family under a religious assembly. Okay, it's like a trust, but it's one designed specifically for a church, and you want to run your life through a church. And I say that because if you know, like I know, every single state constitution protects your religious rights, okay? The state cannot infringe on your religious rights, and that's just the constitutional law that protects we the people. So with that being said, you want to actually create a religious assembly that your trust and everything else can now operate under. You want to operate your family, everything in your life under a religious.
Right. End of time and fulfilling of the prophecies. We as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed of the temple and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. And that's Noble Drew Ali. So if Noble Drew Ali told us return the church, then how is it that Moors with a website called ISOF Law Master are telling you create a church in order for you to be free? And then they're going to tell you that this is in line with what Noble Drew Ali said that we're supposed to do or whatever. Right?
religious assembly. Why? Because the state cannot infringe on your religious rights. So if you have a religious assembly and in your bylaws, which is basically the constitution for your family or your religious assembly, you're basically saying, hey, maybe smoking marijuana is a part of my religion, and if it is, and you have that stated in your bylaws, then who's to say that, that that's not your religion? That might be something that you truly pledge and, really put your heart and soul to. That might be your religion. So therefore, if it is, then the state couldn't infringe on that. All right. And it's very important that we know and understand how to move through trust and move through entities. All right. Because this is why you have, let's say you have immigration laws and, immigration problems and things like that. As you notice, a lot of these immigrants are going to stay in churches, just to stay away from, stay from being, banned or kicked out of the country, and these churches will actually protect them. Why? Because they're operating under their own religious assembly, under their own religious rules and laws, okay, that are operating outside of the corporate government. That's very important that we understand that a religious assembly can protect you because you're moving and operating under your own bylaws. Okay.
And that'll only work if you're not saying you're a church. The only way that you have religious protection as Asiatics, you're not getting it by saying you're a church. This is why Noble Jawadi said temples. There's a reason why he said temples. Because temple is also the body. And if the body is the temple, and these people are foreign to us, then they don't have jurisdiction over this either. Also this. Because the temple is within the temple. Or the temple is within the temple. Whichever way you want to look at it. But the idea that as him doing the things that he did, starting up the religious corporations that he did, teaching us certain things through this jurisdiction of the religious corporation to keep us outside of these people's clutches, right? Like we were saying earlier, Noble Jawadi did everything already that it takes to save a nation. And all we're supposed to do is take it and save ourselves. Noble Jawadi said, if you're going to do anything, do it in the name of Moorish Science Temple or Noble Jawadi. Right? We can do that. Get with a group of Moors, call your thing Noble Jawadi, whatever, and start being ourselves. Right? With us here, we have Moorish Science Temple already. We already have that quote unquote religious idea. We already have that safe haven where we can go to escape whatever else is going on. And the whole point of us, turbans, fezzes, nationality card, all that stuff is part of our religious right to do what it is that we're supposed to do as a nation. All right? We're almost done, Brother Yasun. You got anything there? All right.
Okay, that's very important. Boom, number 10. Now, after you've created a religious assembly, you need to create a foreign situs trust to do business with the United States Corporation. Now that you've gotten off the plantation, because again, operating through your birth certificate via your social security number and all that is basically operating through a domestic trust, which is controlled by the IRS and, controlled by the United States, period. And it's very important to know that we need to take this domestic trust, which is the birth certificate, out of the U.S. jurisdiction via an authentication. And then we need to put it into a foreign trust, which is your foreign situs trust. Why? Because again, the United States cannot control or administer over foreign trusts. Okay? So if they can't administer over a foreign trust, don't you want to put all your domestic assets in a foreign trust so that the United States can't administer over it? Yes. And we'll break that down. It's actually located in the IRS manual. And again, we break all of this down in our estate planning classes. Please go and take those.
Number one. Number two, we're not foreign.
Yeah.
Yo. If you escape the plantation, right back to do with them. You're off the plant. Yeah. Now you can go back on the plantation. Their website is called I Self Law and Master.
So there's nothing else, like there's no description of the Moorish world law, like
No, nothing like that.
okay. No. So they're very famous.
That's why he's fighting the people.
But they are claiming to be Moors.
Yeah, they are claiming to be Moors. They are claiming to be Moors. Huh?
Do they have a temple or regency?
No, they just got a website. It's got a website, and that's all you need. Websites. They got their what do you call it? Their little classes or whatever, conference, whatever. They go around, do seminars, teach people how to, you know, be free. I self law.
Yeah, but it really looks like it says I self law.
I self law a master. I self law. I self law. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good name. That's a good one. These Moors, these rhyming Moors, always seeing stuff. I self law.
One flaw, I said it.
What was that, flower? Any questions? We're gonna go into our Quran reading because we're still catching up from last night, so we're trying to get out of here soon.
We have our walk, our autumn equinox walk next week.
Yes.
What is it?
10:30 meeting at the Beltline, which is east of Merton Street and Young Street. Not even a block, like half a block east of Young Street and Merton Street. That's the entrance to the Beltline, and 10:30 we're meeting up. 10:30 we're meeting up. That's it. Yeah, right. I think it's just above Davis.
So like one light
One
south
light-
of Davisville.
south. Yeah, south of
No,
Davisville.
half a light, exactly one light south of Davisville and 2 lights north of St. Clair.
Yeah. And if you have the children, of course, bring them. On the walk, they have like some little parkettes along the walk. So, we can get off the trail. They can go do their little park thing, and we could walk some more. But it should be a good outdoor session. And then this is just part of that's just part of some of the activities that we want to make Moorish culture, Moorish customs, things that we just do, as Moors, getting together and doing certain things. So we have we have Noble Juali Day coming up. Please, we have Noble Juali Day coming up on the 4th of January. It's going to be at 29 St. Denis. We had our walk,
What does it smell like? Like what?
Come here, what is it? I'm home. When
Somebody,
I was walking, I'm home now. What do
somebody,
you guys want to tell me?
somebody called you?
Yeah, when I was walking, one woman that in your food said I was home. Yeah, I'm here.
So what do you smell
I'm
like?
trying to figure out why you guys say I'm home.
But most of the people in here look like you.
They do,
I'll be the first step, right?
yeah. But when I play around, come on, I go get my.
You feel at home right now or no?
Smells like home, doesn't it? Energy strong. There's some more flyers right there too. Take some of them ones. That one on the left, yeah, that one there. Make sure you take that one right there.
We're not playing no more.
You said Playman Dennis?
St. Dennis. Don Mills, Eglinton area.
Who's playing with you, sis?
Uh,
Uh-huh.
White and some black. You can smell the odor.
You good over there? Bad over there?
Feel relaxed. No.
That's good. That's good. You got your.
Watch the quiet, watch the quiet. Nothing, is there any requests? I'm looking for something first. Okay.
Number eight was.
What kind of food?
Pujo, you have any, is there any temple set up like this in Rochester?
Okay.
Sister's asking.
No, not in Rochester, but we do have actually that's crazy that you mentioned that too, because Amor contacted me from there this morning. Yeah, there's some Moors there. Yeah. So yeah. There's Sister Naeem is in Rochester. We'll get you her number. And I contacted her with another brother who just sent us an email that he's looking for Moors out there. So, if that's where you're at, you're right in tune. Because I'll give it to you before you leave. Yeah, I'll give it to you before you leave. Say that again? Naeem. That's up here for Drew Ali Day? Yeah. Vibes high. Vibes high. Oh yeah, so we got we have Drew Ali Day, January 4th. Drew Ali Day, January 4th. The walk next week. And I think that's it. Yeah.
And don't give anybody my number.
Don't put it on there because this is online. Everybody's gonna.
Live?
Yeah.
Is it black people?
We'll say it's more. It's not black people.
Okay, because a union wedding with.
Yes, put it in the book over there instead. Yeah, put it in the book instead. Because you don't want everybody. Sometimes there's different people online.
I'm walking here, see how it's going to come right into
You don't have to be pissed off anymore because you just said it was calm in here.
It is.
Good. That's what's up.
I'm going to kill somebody. Watch the reading. I read the Jesus not read that. See that? See not that. See not
Social insurance numbers. So it's kind of
We don't see anything right now. We need to continue with the class, right?
Well, I guess we have according to them. No, we don't use it.
Enough is enough. I can't hear you. This guys. Enough is enough.
If we're gonna approach it from a free national, then they're hiring us.
See, Otto followed us home.
It's not even like that.
Hey, soon, what were you saying? Chapter 8?
What page there? What page?
Chapter 12. So if you got your pocket, you got your pocket Qurans, page 37. Jesus teaches the common people at a spring, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness. In silent meditation, Jesus sat beside a flowing spring. It was a holy day, and many people of the servant caste were near the place. And Jesus saw the hard-drawn lines of toil on every brow, in every hand. There was no look of joy in any face. Not one of all the group could think of anything but toil. And Jesus spoke to the one and said, "Why are you all so sad? Have you no happiness in life?" The man replied, "We scarcely know the meaning of that word. We toil to live and hope for nothing else but toil. And blessed be the day when we can cease our toil and lay down and rest in Buddha's city of the dead." And Jesus' heart was stirred with pity and with love for these poor toilers. And he said, "Toil should not make a person sad. Men should be happiest when they toil. When hope and love are back from toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace. And this is heaven. Do you know that such a heaven is for you?" The man replied, "Of heaven we have heard, but when it is so far away, and we must live so many lives before we reach that place." And Jesus said, "My brother man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away, and it is not a place of metes and bounds. It is not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. Now cease and seek for heaven in the sky. Now cease to seek for heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your hearts, and like a flood of light, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy. Then the toil will be no cruel task." The people were amazed and gathered close to the ear this strange young master speak, imploring him to tell them more about the Father God Allah, about the heaven that man can make on earth, about the boundless joy. And Jesus spake a parable and said, "A certain man possessed a field, and soil was hard and poor. But constant toil he scarcely could provide. By constant toil, he scarcely could provide enough food to keep his family from want. One day a miner who could see beneath the soil, in passing on his way, saw this poor man and his unfruitful field. He called the weary toiler and said, 'My brother, know you not that below the surface of your barren field rich treasures lie concealed? You plow and sow and reap in a scanty way, and day by day you tread upon a mine of gold and precious stones. This wealth lies not upon the surface of the ground, but if you will but dig away the rocky soil and delve down deep into the earth, you need no longer till the soil for naught.' The man believed, 'The miner surely knows, and I will find the treasures hidden in my field.' And then he dug away the rocky soil, and deep down in the earth he found a mine of gold. And Jesus said, The sons of men are toiling hard on desert plains, and burning sands and rocky soils, are doing what their fathers did, not dreaming that they can do aught else. Behold, a master comes and tells them of a hidden wealth, that underneath the rocky soil of carnal things are treasures that no man can count. And in the heart richest gems abound, and he who wills may open the door and find them all. And then the people said, make known to us the way that we may find the wealth that lies within the heart. And Jesus opened up the way. The toilers saw another side of life, and toil became joy. Islam.
Is that the one?
Work become happy now. They have so like this. When I know that you're Moorish, you become happy.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the chapter I was looking at.
No, that's the one she chose.
No, and then yeah, she did. But she chose the verse. She just chose verse 24. She just wanted me to read verse 24 from the same chapter that I was reading. So yeah.
And look at verse 24. Make known to us the way that we may find the wealth that lies within the heart. This is where she found herself.
Islam. So we'll just put it out there to anybody if they have any thoughts on any verses.
She wanted me to read verse 24. Yeah, and I was when I looked back and seen the time like that, that's the chapter I was like skimming through. I was thinking about reading first.
Yeah.
It's funny that they mentioned in this chapter as well, they mentioned Buddha. And there's the same story from Buddha's lore as well about the treasure beneath the earth, you know? It's a parable just talking about how that joy is something that we all have within us.
Yeah.
And also, I was looking at verse, verse 9. Allah never made a heaven for man, he never made a hell. We are creators and we make our own. And that's a very Buddhist concept as well. Basically, before we come here, we make contracts about what type of life we want to have, etc., etc. So we basically are volunteering for this, whatever it is, you know.
Islam.
Islam. Anybody else? It's all about the way you look at things. Right?
Yeah, perspective. Yeah.
Working hard and it's misery and there's nothing else and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
or I'm enjoying what I'm doing. You know?
To you, find the hidden lighting.
There you go.
Find the hidden lighting, and feed off of that, opposed to the negativity or the things that are pulling you down.
Even the young lady that just walked in here, like I don't know how society just keeps putting pressure on everybody. Everybody's got stress. Everybody's got pressure. So the most important thing that she said when she walked in here is that she felt that she was at home.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing. Even though she's probably under a lot of stress, whatever is going on in her life, whatever. The first thing that she said was she felt like she was at home.
Yeah.
She said she heard.
Your home.
Yeah.
2
weeks ago, she locked my mind. You said that. So we told her.
Yeah.
She remembering us, so she come home.
So society puts a lot of stress on everybody. So you never know what's going on.
Yeah. Same time she walked with her. I remember but she didn't stand up and fear.
No. I don't know who it was, but it was somebody. I remember when she was out, she was wearing a hood or something. And somebody ran out because she was looking in the window for the whole time.
We're in this neighborhood, this particular neighborhood for a reason.
Yeah.
Location, timing. Huh?
This is my home.
Oh.
So welcome here.
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
This is my job. This. My destiny is this. Finish it. I'm not playing. I'm not playing.
Want to finish what he started?
I already know the answers. I'm telling you guys that you don't need to read no book. I start writing stuff. The mind.
Yeah.
Just the money. Once he loses, he lost. Confused. Hungry. No way ever. Lost. You need to balance. White people. Sensual.
White power.
We invented. Now it changed. When I read, we look. A picture tell 1,000 words. Interpret yourself. Know yourself. Know thyself. Where you see numbers, why you reading with no sense. The language is stupid. You listen to music, that's how you communicate. Stupid language. You use colors and pictures. You don't read. Know thyself. It's no joke. The ox feet. See there. Mommy ever see? Picture that 1,000 words, no. Common sense, no. Ever see that one?
I live in there.
See? Mommy not leave for nothing, I do something. See still. Picture that 1,000 words.
No, you don't add them here wrong, so don't do that.
I won't allow you.
Okay?
Yeah, but I'm not leaving you.
Okay.
Colors and patterns. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Now you feel stupid? I try to learn English. Why? Why waste your time learning English when you can just communicate with a picture? You feel stupid? Feel like you want back? Make no sense. Never lie to you. 5 or 5, 7 or 7, 2 or 2. There's no other meaning. Right?
That's true, right?
So I read. With knowledge in your head already.
To remember.
Why you need to remember when I picture 1,000 words?
Correct. But think it could make you remember also.
But you picture your imagination.
Right.
And you think.
Correct.
And you interpret it.
But
And you swear.
words also help you remember.
Yeah, but look how me I play right now. Because I know the end game. See? Easy as 1, 2, 3.
Islam Morris.
See that? They found my body the other day. So they woke up my spirit. And I'm pissed off. And nobody can tell me what I can and can't do. Nobody. That's my mom.
Okay.
Really?
I love my mom.
Really? Don't hold me to this.
No mom will tell
They
you.
get what that is. They say,
Colors.
eh? Colors. What about the color? Do you know what the colors mean?
You have to
Do you know what blue means?
Enlighten us.
You know what blue means?
No,
Blue means love. Abstract. Where is it? Which is 1,000 words old.
Islam Morris. Let's get her close out.
Your life still?
So don't forget next Saturday,
Christopher.
10:30 a.m. We're gonna be meeting at the Beltline, east of Merton Street and
You guys go.
Young Street.
What?
10:30 a.m.
Okay, I'm coming. Who do you think grade this? You really think the answers are good? I mean, there's
All right. Let's go. Where's Chris? Where's brother? Oh, is there? All right. Make sure loud. Make sure loud. Yo. Yeah.
5 on the left, 2 on the right. Love, Father, universe.
Allah, Father, universe.
Father, love.
Father, love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice.
And justice.
Allah, my protector.
Allah, my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
My
By night.
and my day.
And by day.
His holy prophet.
His holy prophet.
No majority.
Islam.
Give me 5.
Give thanks, boy. Let me do you just now. Let me do you just now. Islam was peace and love.
Give me 5.